Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort.
Cody, drip,
Snort, snort.
I got the drip.
So I watched her play that for a while, and we decided that we were going to order some food. Okay, so we order some food, and basically, when we order food, we order from a delivery service, and there's various different ones that we've used over the years. And every delivery service that we use, okay, hold on. Oh. That was absolutely disgusting. Every delivery service that we use, all right, we always give very detailed instructions on how to deliver the food because we live in a private community, all right? So before I continue with my story, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to start a new segment here on Level 1 Podcast called... me clicking the wrong thing. Called... Wait, where is it? Oh, I clicked... Here it is. Old Man Yells at Cloud segment. We're an old man because I'm 40 years old now. I'm starting to get ornery. I'm starting to get upset at the world. Basically, bitches and complains about the world. Now allow me to do this to laugh at myself because I fucked that up. I completely misclicked because I'm stupid. Okay. So anyway, yes, in this new segment, whenever I'm going to bitch about something that obviously is something that's probably just me venting on my podcast, I will click at this to show my age, all right? So, as you know, I get very upset sometimes when I tell you guys about how things are negatively affected in life by people who basically don't know how to do their job, people who don't use their brains, people who basically just coast through life. I've talked about this many times before. So, yesterday we ordered food. It's from a restaurant, and this restaurant's a little bit further away than a normal restaurant we would order from. So already, instead of being like maybe a 30-minute wait to get our food, it's going to be like, you know, an hour wait. In fact, just for full disclosure, it's a restaurant that actually we've only eaten at once before. It's actually a relatively new restaurant in our area. This restaurant does boiled seafood. So, for example, they boil shrimp, they boil crab, they boil all kinds of stuff. They also do fried seafood. And so my wife decided that she wanted to do some boiled shrimp, and I was going to get like a meal of fried, like half fried shrimp and half cod, like fish and chips, but with some shrimp too. And it sounded really good. We're like, this is something different. We haven't done this in a last year, in the middle of the year, we did it once. And we said, why not do it again? Okay? This is pretty cool. All right? So we order from the place, but we know it takes a while because the food is fresh. They're going to make it, and it's a little bit further away. So they're going to take a little longer to drive it here. All right? So we order the food. Now, allow me to explain why I needed to preface this telling you that we live in a private community and I put special instructions into the delivery service apps because the way we live in a private neighborhood, all right? There's two gates to our neighborhood. There's a back gate that doesn't open. It's only for emergencies. If there's a fire or police need to come here, then it opens. Outside of that, it's not for people to come in and out. It's not for deliveries. It's only for emergencies. We have a front gate. That gate has a call box. That gate allows you to buzz people inside the facility, talk to them to get in. And if you have specific instructions on how to get in, you can get in via that call box, okay? So every time that we order food, we make sure that there's instructions in the delivery service that says, FYI, if you want to get in, you must go to the front gate, which is accessed by this particular road, all right? And you have to go to the call box. You have to enter in this certain thing, and then the call box will allow you access. And I even say in the instructions, our particular unit is all the way in the back, so just drive to the back, and I even give specific instructions on how to get to the front door, all right? Like, probably the most detailed instructions you could have. If you read the instructions and put 10 seconds of effort into your job, there's no way you could possibly screw this up and not deliver the food, all right? So once again, I'm putting this up because, yes, I know a lot of you are going to say I'm being a Karen or I'm being an old fart. I'm angry at someone for not doing their job. You're absolutely right. So here's what happens, okay? We wait and we wait and we wait, and this guy is taking forever to deliver the food. And we're like, this is like ridiculous. We're starving, okay? So it got to the point where I stopped tracking. I was like, this guy's taking it forever. So you know what they say, the watch pot never boils, right? So I'll have my phone here with me. So if the guy happens to contact me and say he can't get in or he can't give it the food, I'll at least have it here with me. I'll be able to answer. But instead, I'm going to put the phone down. I'm just going to watch Cat play some Fallout. So that's exactly what we did. Okay? All of a sudden, I get notification, your food's delivered. Okay? Oh, cool. I jump up off the couch. I run to the front door. I open the door. There's no food. Huh? So now I'm like, wait a minute. So I go back to my phone, because what happens is when they deliver food, they're supposed to leave a picture. Okay? So I say, all right, so let's see where the food is. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, that's really small. I present to you the picture that was presented to me. All right. This is the food that we had ordered. And here it is delivered about, I'd argue, almost a full hour after we had ordered it. All right. Because the guy kind of took a long time to deliver the food. Now, here it is. Okay, so here's the food. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's not my door. And we don't have a planter. So where did this person leave the food? Right? So we're hungry. All right. And I'm like, honey, I'm going to find the food. All right. I grab a flashlight. It's like 6:30 p.m. So it's dark outside. Okay. I grab a flashlight. I grab my cell phone. So I've got this picture on my cell phone, and I'm walking around our private neighborhood with a flashlight, going door to door, looking at everyone's front door, looking for the food. Okay? For clarification purposes, there's 4 to 5 rows of homes. Each row has 6 to 7 homes in it. So basically, I was looking at about 50 different houses trying to figure out where the food was. Okay? So I run outside. I'm in the dark, running around the neighborhood with the flashlight. My neighbors are looking out the window like, is there a prowler out there? Like, who is that? Running around the neighborhood with a flashlight, right? They don't know what's going on. So luckily for me, no one called the cops. Not that it would matter. Obviously, I live here. It's not a big deal. So I go all the way to the front. First thing I think is, maybe this guy is so lazy, he didn't read the instructions. Maybe he happened to get in and he just dropped it at the first doorstep. So I start going from house to house looking for the food. All right? And it's not at any of them. I'm like, man, no one has this planter, right? No, it doesn't look like this at anyone's house. So I start to get halfway through our neighborhood, and I realize something. It dawned on me. All right, there's a big red flag sticking out in this photo. That it's a realization to me. All right, so you look at this. Here's the realization. Look at the food and look what it's sitting on. It's sitting on a wooden deck. Okay. No one here has a wooden deck. Everyone's house has a concrete staircase. And I'm thinking to myself, where did he leave this food? No one has wood. And then I start to think, did he go into someone's backyard and someone over the years had maybe paid to have a wooden deck in their backyard and this idiot actually left the food on the back porch of someone's house? So I am so confused. All right. So I continue to look through the neighborhood. And then finally, I'm like, it's not here. There's no way it's here. All right. So I actually text the guy because I guess it's like 20 minutes after a delivery, the open window stays open so you could text the guy. And I text him, I say, listen, I don't know what you just did, but you sent me this picture saying you delivered the food. No one here has a wooden porch. So I don't know what you did, but obviously you delivered it completely to the wrong place, man. Like, what the heck? All right. Then I proceeded to contact DoorDash because that was the app that I was using. I said, hey, DoorDash, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Can we get a refund or something? And they were like, well, you have some options. You can actually just get it redelivered again for free. And I was like, well, we want the food, but now it sucks because now we have to wait for the restaurant to remake the food again. We have to wait for it to be delivered again. Like, what a nightmare. Okay? So we're like, all right, here's what we'll do. We'll tell them we just want the redelivery. Okay? So we say we're going to redeliver. It says you got to wait a whole other hour. Well, what are you going to do? We're starving at this point, but what are you going to do? Let it wait. All right? So we did. And we waited. Now, in the meantime, the driver texts me back, All right. Now, I don't know why, because if you're this embarrassing that you literally just left your food at completely the wrong place, right? Why in the holy hell would you ever text someone back? I mean, it's just, that's brain dead stupid. But he did. He texts back and he goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I listened to your instructions and I drove all the way to the end of a private community and I left it on the doorstep. If you have an issue, contact DoorDash to get your money back." And I'm like, what? Is he telling me he got into a different private community? Because here's the thing. Again, to get into our community, you need the instructions to get in the gate. The gate will not open unless you know how to open it, right? How did he get in? He's claiming he went into a private... Whose private community did he go into? Right? By the way, just for the record, there's no other private communities over here. Next to us is an apartment complex that doesn't have a front gate that you need to open. Over here is just a neighborhood that you can drive right through the open side streets. So he's telling me he entered a private community and left the food on someone's porch, but there's no other private communities around here but mine. So was he in another town, right? So actually, I never knew this, all right? But when a driver leaves food and actually gives you the picture of the food, I did not know this, but I guess DoorDash geotags the picture. Okay? I found it in the app because I didn't know you could do this. I found it later that night. I was just kind of searching around. I was like, I wonder if there's a way I could actually figure out where he left the food. Oh yeah, I figured it out hours later. They geotagged his picture. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, here is where the food is. Okay? So without showing you much, okay? That's my street that you can see, okay? They see that blue dot right there? That blue dot is me. And it actually showed the direction I was looking in my home, okay? So at the time when I was on my phone, I was looking at the wall, and that's the direction I was staring, or the phone was looking at, okay? This person left the food, get this, behind our back gate, which doesn't open, has no call box, okay? And just left it on someone's porch out there without even looking at the address, because none of those homes are anything like my address at all. Okay? Pretty stupid. It doesn't even make sense. Like, huh? So let me get this straight. I left you... By the way, I should do this again. Let me get this straight. I left you specific instructions that said you must enter our private community from a road. It had the name of the road. You must go to a call box. You must use these instructions on the call box to get the gate to open. You must drive to the back of the facility, and our home is this number, and here's how you leave the food at our front door. Like, all this is in the app. It's all there for them. Okay? And by the way, I should very much clarify, probably about 95% of the time, we get our food. There's 2 times ever we didn't get our food, all right, from a delivery service. There was this time, right here, and there was one other time. I'll tell you that story in a second. But basically, this guy, when he responds to me, he says, "So I read your instructions." That's just blatantly false. Okay, here's what he did, because I know because this happens all the time with these drivers. They don't open the app, they don't read the instructions, they're lazy. So they just turn on their own GPS and let their GPS drive them to the house, and they think that's the extent of my job. It's not, because GPS is not the end-all be-all of everything on this planet. GPS frequently can be wrong. Sometimes GPS tells you to go down a road that's not even open anymore. Sometimes GPS has incorrect information, all right? There's a reason why you are employed by a company that uses an app, and the app has information in it. And the reason is not to ignore the information. But a lot of these drivers, sadly, just think their job's easy. I just use my GPS and I just get the job done. And that might work, a lot of the time, but it will not work ever for us. Like if you just use GPS, a lot of the times it just tells you to go to our back gate, which you can't get in. And then the driver ends up calling or texting us, "I can't get in." I was like, "Did you read my instructions?" "Oh, sorry." And then they drive all the way around to the front gate and then they get in. Okay? So basically this guy did not read the instructions, did not care, got to the back gate, freaked out, was like, I don't know what to do. And he literally just dumped the food on a random porch and drove away. Didn't even confirm if it was the right address, because it wasn't. Those numbers out there are nothing like our street numbers here. And he just dumped it, didn't care. That's his job. Again, what kind of work ethic is that? Just dump the food anywhere. Wow. I mean, like, I'm totally not going to complain to your employer about that, right? You know, it's just asinine. Like, what did he think was going to happen? I honestly don't know. So, anyway, by the way, I now need to close the blinds because the sun is coming out and it's getting too bright in here, and I was afraid this was going to happen. Of course the sun has to come through the clouds. Come on! Piece of shit. Okay. So now I'm going to look pink again. Look, whole color scheme of the podcast changes. Okay. So, there was one other time ever when we just didn't get our food at all. All right. This time, I actually feel was worse than yesterday. I want to tell you this story, too, because I don't think I ever told you this story. So, the one other time we never got our food, all right, same situation. We ordered the food. And that time, I was actually tracking the person. It wasn't like this time where I was just casually watching Cat play games or whatever. That time, I was actively tracking the person. And I outright saw that person drive next door into the apartment complex next to us, okay? They went in there, all right, and go and drive in, and they're driving in circles, and I texted them, I'm like, you're in the wrong place. You got to go next door. You just got to go back out to the road, take a right, take another right. You'll be right there, and then our instructions that are in the app are good. You got to do that, okay? He basically calls me. And now I'm not going to answer the phone because I'm in the middle of stuff in my house. I text him back. I said, dude, I just told you what to do. You got to leave and go out to the main road. And he starts texting me agitated. No, I am here. Why don't you come out? Why don't you get the food? Come get your food. Like in caps. He's screaming at me through the app. I'm like, the hell? Like, why is this guy so pissed at me? Right? Like, he's making the mistake. So, come to find out, the guy basically can't read because I'm texting him specific instructions and he can't understand them. Okay? So, after doing this for about 15 minutes of him driving in a circle in the wrong apartment complex, all of a sudden, I get an error message from the app. Your order's been canceled. What? So I immediately contact the customer support. Oh, your driver said they just had a personal emergency and they had to stop your order. I was like, what? I said, dude, go look at the chat history right now. This guy's literally next door. And he's an idiot and he can't read. So because he can't read my text for the instructions, he's driving in a circle and he pissed himself off and then he lied to get out of it. So that was the worst. That was the absolute worst. This time, the guy attempted to deliver it, but he was an idiot. I mean, I've never seen someone that dumb. I literally tell you must enter from a road. There is a call box. Here's how you get in at the call box. Drive to the back. Here's how you get to our house. He uses GPS to just drive to a gate. There's no call box. It's not the road it says to be on, and it's not the address of the house that it says to leave the food at, and he just puts it down and drives away. I mean, so anyway, we ended up getting the food. It was just much later. Although this is funny too. So the food finally arrives over an hour later. So we're waiting over 2.5 hours for our food. It finally shows up. I go to the front door. I open it. There's no food. I said, what? And then I turned my head. They'd put it right next door at our neighbor's place instead. So I just walked over and I grabbed the food. And then we ate our dinner. And our dinner was good. All right? But I could... So even the replacement driver got the house wrong, but at least was there at the right place. Okay? So anyway, what's hilarious is people are saying tip, 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 tip. You do realize that when you order from any of these delivery services, you have to tip. If you don't tip, right, the delivery driver will never take the job because this is the gig economy. So let me explain how this works. These drivers are not fully paid employees of the apps. Whether it's Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats, they don't get paid for their hourly work from them. They only get paid the tip you send. So let's say, for example, you ordered the food and you said, no tip, no one will ever deliver your food. Your food will just sit at the restaurant and you just wasted your money because you're an idiot. When you tip, then a delivery driver says, oh, that tip is worth it for me to do this job. They accept the job and then they go get your food and they deliver it to you. So obviously you guys don't understand how the tip system works. You have to tip or you would never get your food from these services. Okay? Exactly right, Highway Cavalier. No tip, no trip. Exactly right. That's how it works. Okay. So that being said, that was our food yesterday. It wasn't great because, well, let me put it this way. When the food finally arrived, it was great, but we had to wait 2.5 hours for it because of a idiotic person. And again, I know some people will once again say this, and I hear you, but this podcast is a show where I get to bitch about stuff, right? And I felt like today would be a good day to bitch a little bit. Tomorrow, the thing is, we've already gone late.